Welcome to the Itch Network podcast, where we discuss all things happening with movies and video games. I'm Spencer, and I'm talking with my good friend, Ninja C. Ninja, how are you?
I'm doing great. We're on our second podcast. I've survived the week, so
It's been absolutely just a thrill ride, as it were. We got some feedback on the last one. Good stuff, guys. Always nice to find a new podcast to listen to from the funny nerd, my good friend Leo. Thanks for watching, Leo. You the man. He's a funny nerd. Check out his channel. He's pretty great. We got a fun little podcast ahead of us today. And I want to start off by saying, Ninja, what have you watched and played this last week?
seen a lot of movies and played quite a few games. One of them being Battle Royale was
Yeah,
the new thing.
played that one together.
The usual League of Legends, Elder Scrolls Legends got an update. I've been playing that and the usual other card games.
Excellent, excellent. How about what have you been watching?
I've seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, Upgrade, Fifth Wave, and I've heard some interesting things about Venom.
Yeah. That one, the embargo just came out tonight, and we've got the flood and a flood of reviews, and of course Metacritic is out, and it is bad. It is at a 29, which is pretty unheard of for a lot of like bigger releases lately. 29 is very low. That's kind of impressive, especially for a Tom Hardy movie. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, RA, I'm pretty sure that's got a fairly big budget. I don't have IMDb pulled up, but
We'll get into that. I, of course, have also been playing Battle with you. I'm trying to finish Dragon Quest so I can get the damn review out, but that game does not like to end. So, and the last boss is really hard, so I'm kind of gearing up for it. I'll get it, though. But there's that, I actually won a game in Battle Royale. I feel pretty proud. I wish I
did
recorded
you get
it.
an achievement? Did you get an achievement for that? Can we add that? Can we ask if people want us to stream that?
Yeah, if you want us to stream it, let us know. We'll probably do it anyway, even if you didn't say no. So, um,
Even send some invites out.
yeah,
They can play with us.
that'd be cool, man. I'm down. It's a fun game. I really like it. It's an interesting twist on that Royale formula. Um, and then I haven't seen any movies, but I figured I'd parlay that to you. Let's hear about Ant-Man and the Wasp. What's the
Well,
ninja
Ant-Man and the
review?
Wasp being a sequel of Ant-Man. Short. It's a good movie. It's got Lawrence Fishburne in it. Also Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer, Catwoman. Does it?
I believe she is. Let me check real quick.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I didn't know that. I kind of want to look it up now
Well, I don't
too.
want to give. I don't know. Are we doing spoiler reviews or?
Well, you don't have to say who she is, but you can say that she's in it. I don't think there's anything wrong with
Let me
that.
let me let me double check.
That'd be kind of
Oh
cool.
yeah, Michael Pena's in it. I love Michael Pena, man. I got a bromance with him.
Oh, she was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Is that a
Oh,
I'm
that's
looking at
wrong
her
to it.
name in
Yeah,
there.
it is Michelle Pfeiffer.
Is
Okay.
that
Yeah,
considered
I mean she's quite aged on it. She's playing her age, so.
Well, she's a very pretty lady. Very pretty lady. But interesting. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think in the usual Marvel um hang around for the credits and then after the credits and then after
Oh, was there some
there's a few scenes after that.
big scenes? Does
Well,
everybody in Infinity War not die? Is that what's going on here? Am I
there
going
is an
crazy?
Infinity. Really, you should watch Infinity Wars then Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's actually the order that it should be because it's kind of a little bit of spoiler at the end of it. So
Gotcha. I figured we'd slip in a discussion about the Venom reviews at this point. Holy cow. If you look at their Metacritic, 29. One positive review, five mixed review, and five negative. I guess there aren't that many yet. The embargo just got lifted, but wow, you don't see a movie tank like this.
Well,
Uh,
definitely a budget movie of this. This isn't an indie movie or a straight to Redbox movie.
yeah, this is Tom Hardy playing a role that people have been wanting to see for a while. I don't know if he played it better than Topher Grace did though. He's got some real competition.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Hardy already has Bane, so he's got a nice resume already. So
That's true. Alonzo Duralde from The Rap says it exists as a waste of time, although one hopes a sizable payday for some very talented actors, and it's proof that even Marvel doesn't always get it right. This is Sony, right? This isn't Disney, right?
I have to double check on double check. It says Columbia Pictures.
Columbia. Yeah,
I don't
you're
know
right.
if they have the rights to it because I know they just Disney got the rights to Spider-Man for Homecoming a while back, but I don't know. I saw probably own majority of the market in a few years. I was reading online they were purchasing something else, some other big franchises.
Oh yeah, they're taking all of them.
So yeah, I would say give them 5 years, and they're gonna be a monopoly, and they're gonna have some anti oversight.
What a huge letdown that this movie's PG-13. Who made that call?
Yeah. In this day and age of Logan, Deadpool 1 and 2,
Yeah.
I and I think back in the day, Spawn, I think McFarlane really didn't want the PG-13. And I know I own the Blu-ray copy of it, but I think that one there's no, I don't know if there's a rated R cut, which it should have been.
This movie had rated R spelled all over it, and for some reason
Maybe that
PG-13.
could be a contributing factor.
No, it's gotta be. I did want to note too that with these reviews, a lot of people said that it reminds them of movies from like the early 2000s and maybe prior, like older style superhero
That's
movies.
that's almost 2 decades. So that's been
Yeah.
dated.
I want to ask you because starting with Iron Man, definitely those kinds of superhero movies picked up like crazy. Uh, what's the difference between movies from post Iron Man versus movies pre Iron Man? Talking about comic book movies.
Yeah, I mean, Iron Man officially kicked off Marvel's cinematic universe, and that was kind of
Was
I know I
def-
saw it in the theaters. They
you saw what in the theaters?
Iron Man, the first one
Yeah.
on my birthday month. Trying to see what
What makes
eat
what makes those
10 years ago.
so different than the older movies? Because before that, you had movies like I think of X-Men, the first one. Obviously, there's more, but I always think of that one. There's Blade. You've got the later Batmans. Obviously, before Christopher Nolan, you got some questionable choices there. Uh,
And then the Schumacher took over after Tim Burton.
yeah, he made it. Man, that I will say with that fourth one, as bad as it is, I think Uma Thurman does a knockout job. I love Poison Ivy. I think she read the lines right. Um,
Some I like Jim Carrey myself as the Riddler is over the top. The only thing is eh, um Tommy Lee Jones is trying to bring up the energy at the same point. He just doesn't have it. I mean, there's a huge age gap between that and the style of acting.
yeah.
I
You know
don't see Tommy
they
Lee
got in,
Jones.
they got in like fights. Him and Tommy Lee
They
Jones.
really didn't like each other in person. I think that was probably more interesting in the movie, the behind the scenes.
Yeah, I agree. But what made those movies not as good? Not standing out as much as these new. Obviously, Disney's budget. Let's put that out there too. Disney's got some dollars, and they ain't afraid to spend them.
Budgets get bigger and bigger. I mean, made I think 2 billion now. But it was also like of
Well, and you've got that, you got the one shining beacon of that time frame, and it's Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man was legitimately
John
good.
Sam, the Sam Raimi.
Yeah, you got the first Spider-Man, Tobey
Oh,
Maguire. The second one apparently was really good. The third one
uh,
I saw, the second one was really good. Let's focus
which movie
on.
that was after September 11th. That was the
Yes,
first superhero movie after September 11th, the 2002. I don't know if you go rewatch it. There's a lot of American flags in that movie.
that's true. And they did a thing where they had to take didn't they remove a scene or something because of the twin
I
towers?
believe so. Yeah, they didn't plan that was gonna happen. So yeah.
Yeah, that's brutal. But so I mean, what's the difference here? I can't tell. The only thing I can think of is confidence in their movies and the fact that Disney has a budget. I really think it might just be that Disney had such a budget because other businesses that try to do comic book movies don't do nearly as well, even
Oh, there's
today.
some stinkers. There's some stinkers. There's Bob Wire. Shaq was in Steel.
Oh yeah.
Meteor Man. There's some.
Well, look, but you can see that Warner Brothers is trying to make comic book movies too, and they're not really having the same success that Disney is. They got that DC stuff, and they're just kind of they're
Actually, DC stuff is actually their fan bases in the animated movies that actually sell
really that's
and
how
do
they're
better than their actual live action.
that's really
Yeah, that's actually where they're strong at.
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I actually collect most of them because they're actually pretty good products, man. Because they have the same talents that worked on like the Batman animated series are still going. Those people years,
Yeah, and I
and
think
they have Mark Hamill and Chris Connors
oh yeah, I got
that.
Mark Hamill's doing your voices. You're in for a treat. But as far as the Marvel goes, maybe the other thing too is Disney strikes a smarter, more tempered balance between humor and seriousness, humor and the crazy comic book nonsense that goes on. Them like punching people through walls and stuff.
Yeah,
Maybe,
lately they've been a little bit. I feel like a little over the top because the tone of Ragnarok.
yeah.
Galaxy is always they're kind of forcing the jokes on that. Besides, Infinity Wars was a lot a lot more sober tone. Um,
They always got a little tinge of humor at least, though. They're always injecting it into everything, which I think is a good thing. But yeah, maybe on some of them a little bit too much. Maybe Ragnarok was kind of a joke.
yeah, it was the joke to joke, but also you have to look at the director they got. I mean, he did a mockumentary for vampires and werewolves.
Oh yeah, he did, huh? That's a good point. All right, well, getting past that, what other movies did you see? Upgrade?
Yeah, Upgrade was a low budget sci-fi movie. If you were a big fan of Deus Ex Machina, the and I believe it went to console too. I think you'll enjoy it. A lot of the other reviewers said it was very underrated.
What's this movie about?
The somewhat distant future, and people are getting upgraded, like the name says, they're getting enhancements. Um, there's AI and drones and everything, so it's not the too distant future.
Okay.
The main character's wife is murdered, and he's paralyzed, and he essentially didn't want to be upgraded, but is upgraded because he's paralyzed. Um, Basically, he can't feel anything below his neck, and this enables him to.
That's a quadriplegic?
So,
Is it quadriplegic?
so it enables him to walk around and hunt down his wife's killers.
Okay.
AI in his head, similar to the Venom, I guess. Talking to him, the symbiote, and it can take over for him and do all these kung fu, and it was like a split second.
Interesting. So you give it two ninja thumbs up?
In fact, I would give it 8 out of 10.
All right, you're using the 10
10
scale.
shurikens.
Sure you. All right,
Yeah, there's a twist ending, and I don't want to run it, but yeah,
yeah,
I think
no.
it's worth a rental at the very least.
Okay. And then what next up you saw Clue. Obviously that's an older movie, but
Classic movie.
what is the plot to Clue? I've always heard about the movie, but I've never seen
The
it.
board game. It's one of the board game movies. I mean, we've had what is it, Battleship, recently.
Yeah, I've tried to forget that.
Their board game. Waiting for the Monopoly one where you play Monopoly and you get upset with your family.
Yeah,
Um,
what's Clue about? What's the movie? What's it like? What's the plot?
Basically, the game of Clue. These characters are invited to this mansion, and people start dropping dead.
Oh, okay.
Uh, Jumanji. Oh, the Jumanji 1 and 2, or I guess the 1995 one, and then the 2017 and Ouija. Pronounce that right.
Is that considered a board game? Ouija?
Yeah. It's technically I've never really played it, but yeah, you know the one where you put your hands on it and
Mm-hmm.
somebody.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's a board. That's like talking to the
It's
demons.
technically it's technically a board game by Google standpoint, but
Google,
yeah.
we gotta have we gotta have a little talk, Google, on what we consider playing. And then finally, you said that you saw The Fifth Wave, and you said it was your favorite movie of the year.
Terrible waste of time. Very boring.
What's the
Most reviewers the same thing.
what's this movie about? What's going on in The Fifth Wave?
If you like those movies or the usual these teen sci-fi movies, Maze Runner, it's so generic that it comes off.
Oh, okay.
I'd recommend it. I would. You might want to throw a shuriken at your foot or something.
Oh,
Rather
keeping the ninja theme. I like it.
rather stab myself with a samurai sword, man. It's pretty terrible.
All right. Well, let's segue into video games a little bit. You said that there was an Elder Scrolls Legends update.
Yeah, it was on, I believe, on both the platforms, the PC, and a lot of people weren't happy about it. I'm not really either. It's doesn't crash as much was a good thing, but also it just be updated this way.
So,
Had problems like
Elder Scrolls Legends, that's the card game, right? For those that don't know.
and based on the IP of Elder Scrolls, which is pretty popular.
Did you play those games, the Elder Scrolls games?
Yeah, I did. They're great games. You're right. I know they're big sellers on PC.
Yep, Elder Scrolls 6 just got announced a little bit ago. But okay, so what's all the you're saying that this isn't a good update. What's the negatives here?
The UI was changed quite considerably, and the graphics, um,
Downgraded?
in a way, yeah, I liked how they were done before. It's kind of that mentality. If it's don't fix it, you know.
Yeah, yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So, happens to the player base.
Oh, that's unfortunate. And now something that we both play pretty substantially, a new LOL patch, which apparently you're saying just the whole point of it was to make Ezreal twice his size.
Yeah, there's gonna be a as update. Looks like mostly a graphical updates because I believe we have worlds coming to an end. Usually this time of the year, worlds. I believe the season usually ends in November. Not much news for League. A lot of remakes and redos. Nunu was the last rework. So I believe right. Just don't want to. They don't want to end this late in the world stage.
That makes sense. You said are
The
they adding a new mode or doing a new mode thingy?
they have they have the new mode that they've had out for a
Couple weeks now.
few weeks now. Yeah, I think they're doing that. They have they probably have them loaded in but not unlocked, the Halloween skins, but they're usually pretty late about that. It's almost after the holiday. Um, the summer skins for being almost after summer. Usual nerfs and buffs, and I haven't seen any broken things
Yeah.
involved in it. I think people are still trying to adjust to the new news rework. It's very interesting though.
Yeah, this is pretty great. I don't know. I see myself playing Battle Royale a little more. Although I did just place a couple ARAMs uh, to assure myself that I still suck quite a bit at League of Legends. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, I hope they had, what was the mode that we enjoyed since they took out, I still remember Dominion. I had that a special place in my heart. I had
They had uh, oh, I can't remember what it's called, but it was like it was a really small map, and they
was it Nexus Blitz?
no, that wasn't it. It was maybe it wasn't actually maybe it was Nexus Blitz. Maybe you're right. Well, it was. I don't know if the viewers would know that, but it was again 5v5, but like a tiny map, so it was just chaotic. And then there were like tons of little mini games going on every like couple minutes. And like
Objective driven. Really reminded me of Heroes of the Storm.
yeah, but it wasn't like awful. Spencer don't like that game.
You're fairly good at it. I played with you before and stuff, but I think the Heroes of the Storm, you can't buy weapons, or there's just very little impact if you either get the objectives or you don't.
Yeah. With Heroes, it's way too much of a team game to the point that I don't feel like an individual. I feel like it's like maybe a Chinese mentality or something, an Asian mentality, but I don't feel like I'm me. I like in League of Legends where I can buy items and I can do well myself and therefore carry the team. And if I'm doing poorly, I'm a detriment to the team and I take that, you know. I like that feeling of responsibility. And I just don't get that from Heroes of the Storm. It feels just like a goofy game.
Everybody just clumped up in one category.
Pretty much. Those shared experience, like what the hell? What's the point of lanes at that point?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is you feel like you can actually carry in League if you do well, if you get snowball and you get kills and you get items.
Yeah, it's called avatar strength. It's a video game term, but it means that you're growing with your character, and you feel like as he gets stronger that it's earned and that you've taken him to that point. And with League, you feel that because you buy items, he levels up. Sometimes people see you, they'll say like, "Wow, you're already level 9. Like I'm still level 6." It's like, oh, that's the feeling of carrying. That's the feeling of doing well. With Heroes of the Storm, it's just we're all the same level. We all leveled up at the same time. We have no items, so everything's disparate. It doesn't really matter. All that really matters is that
That's
you're getting
hitting
objectives.
mechanics too. Correct me if
Yeah,
I'm wrong. There's no hitting at all. That's a huge mechanic in League of Legends that separates the pros from the casual.
yeah. There's a lot of things. It's definitely I get what it's trying to do as a team focused MOBA that prevents people from yelling at each other as much, but man, it just feels like a game with all the balls cut off of it. Not into it.
There's a big champion ship sale skins
In League or in Heroes of the Storm?
in League. No, I haven't played a Heroes of the Storm I think since we played a few matches together, man. I've did it for a while.
All I do is play that poison girl and just poison people, and instant MVP.
One trick pony, man.
And she is a phony girl, right? She's all on
Or Centaur or whatever.
Centaur, yeah. Pony girl. I call them pony girls. They're called centaurs. Oh boy, the pony community is coming after me now. the bronies. And then last but not least, the PlayStation Experience has been canceled for this year. Of course, the PlayStation Experience in years prior has been the launching pad for a bunch of major reveals. I think The Last of Us 2 got announced at PlayStation Experience, if I remember correctly. They had Ghost of Tsushima. There was oh my god, what was it? There was one other big. It was the newer Uncharted one was announced there, but it kind of begs the question of, you have E3, you have their France thing, you have Tokyo Game Show. I do think that 4 was a little much. So
Yeah, it looks like their quote is, now that we have Spider-Man out the door, which was a huge success, and again, a PlayStation 4 exclusive, we're looking down in 2019, and they just don't have the content that they. I just don't think it warrants another expo.
I totally agree. They had Days Gone is still supposed to come out, but that game just looks like every other zombie game. It looks really good, but it just doesn't have the impact that I think a God of War or Spider-Man is gonna have.
People are still playing Left 4 Dead. I mean, you have to distinguish yourself from that.
Yeah, exactly. They even have Left 4 Dead 2 coming out, and another zombie game that people can only not care about as much.
It's kind of saturated now. I think even
But
AMC, they now have like a spin-off of that. I think we're zombie saturated at this point.
yeah, I agree. But I wanted to ask you, at this point, if companies are saying they don't have any major games coming out for their consoles, does that mean that we should be expecting the next generation of consoles soon? Where do you think that puts that? Like a
I mean,
PS5?
what's the how long has the PlayStation 4 been out and the newest Xbox?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me check. PS4 and the Xbox came out the
Don't
same
they have a
time.
certain life cycle? I think the life cycles are getting shorter. I know the PS1 it felt like it was out forever, and the PS2 held on for the longest.
Yeah,
And
it
I
was out
think I
forever.
think in Japan it was cheaper than a DVD player.
So the launch date for the PS4 is 2013. Usually they have about a 10-year life cycle. If you see the PS3 release date, it was 2006. So yeah, maybe 10, maybe 9 years on the PS3. Maybe a little more. I don't know if it. I think it's pretty much done, but maybe they're still. I think they were talking about PS Plus stuff ending for it, but I think the games have stopped for sure. But yeah, the PlayStation 4 was launched on 2013. I could probably see it going until I don't know about 2023, but
Have they
maybe
utilized the hardware? That's usually the telltale sign that they're going to a new console.
yeah, it seems like they're pushing it pretty hard. Although what's funny is Red Dead Redemption is only going to be released on consoles. It makes me wonder if they're. Well, I think the reason they did that was to avoid piracy, but it tells me too that the consoles are pretty strong, and the most popular games out nowadays, the most successful, are really not that graphically intensive. I mean, with the last generation we saw Minecraft be the most popular. Now we're looking at what do you call it? Fortnite. That
For
game is no beast.
you played on most basic computers.
Yeah. So I'm not really confident that the next console is really going to need to be super overdrive. I mean, there are games that do require it, but even multiplayer versus single player, multiplayer is just destroying it. Single player is really kind of a dying breed.
Yeah, but I think you have games like Spider-Man for PS4 that is the diamond in the rough. Though they hopefully will it is through sales and they reevaluate that.
Yeah, I don't know that it's gonna do. I mean, it's gonna do very well. Obviously, it's done our incredible so far, but for the amount of money you can make on one of those kinds of games, Fortnite makes hand over fist more money. I think they made $300 million in 1 month. And that was earlier this year, before they weren't even as popular as they are now. $300 million in a month.
Yeah, it's their total is pretty ridiculous. I was reading an article the other day about it. Yeah, and they top league now in views on Twitch. So
Yeah, and the top league, how much does league make? League makes a ton of money too. And they don't have to make a new game every time. They just make that much money every month. Just updating and through microtransactions.
league's pretty consistent at this point, but I mean that's a decade old. Now, so
Well, yeah. So
actually moved more into merchandise. They just have their big thing is the IP of all these characters that they've made.
so when you're a company that has like a ton of money, and you're like, which one should we invest in, a multiplayer game or a single player game? It's got to be multiplayer. It's got to be just some multiplayer game that sells microtransactions. And you see that with like EA and 10 cents game people that they buy off, like Activision, Blizzard. They got the Call of Duty that just gets released every year. They even took out the single player mode. It's just a multiplayer game at this point. It's pretty crazy. I mean, I don't think single player ever completely go away, but
No, I think there's a focus toward more indie games, more retro.
yeah, retro's coming in
Single
big.
player, yeah. I mean, look at Steam. There's almost no barrier to entry
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, I think retro's coming back in a huge way. Almost like as a counterbalance to all the multiplayer shooters that just seem to have fluxed in from last generation. It's been kind of interesting. I'm all for it.
It is has double the viewers of League of Legends, and months, maybe years ago, I would never have thought that.
Nope. Same with the PUBG. PUBG is up there too, right? Did PUBG pass law as well?
For right now, I'm not up front page.
Yeah, but either way, man, it's gonna be an interesting next generation. I'm sure of it. I think we planned on talking about that at some point, the future of consoles, or future of gaming. So I won't go. We shouldn't go too far into it, but definitely a little sneak preview right there.
Yeah, and then talking to some indie developers there's a lot of great indie developers out there that are making good quality content, single player games and retro games. There's going to be a new speaking of very successful two guys, great documentary too. Super Meat Boy 2 is coming out soon.
Oh wow, I haven't heard that name in a long time. That's great. You ever play Super Meat Boy?
Yeah, I actually own like the collector's edition of it. Because I'm a masochist.
Yeah, right.
It's a super difficult game.
You must hate yourself.
Super difficult game, but also a very simplistic game too. But graphics, man, just mechanically, it's a really fun game, and controls.
I agree. Great game.
Those are my criteria: controls and the mechanics, man.
I'm a graphics kind of guy. I like that stuff.
The eye candy. Huh?
A little bit, yeah. Anyway, that's all for today. Ninja, thank you so much for joining me. It's a pleasure as always.
Thanks for having me.
And make sure you leave your comments below. We'll talk to you guys next week. And I'll see you guys later. We still got to work on an exit thing. We don't even thought of that yet.